Hello, I'm Alexa, and this is Alexa Does Romance, where I tell you about a romance book I read. The theme song just happened in my head, and it was like, whoa, this is amazing. Okay, so the book I'd like to tell you about today is The Invitation by Vi Keeland. Goodness, this man could invite me off a cliff and I would go. Like, hello, nurse. All right, so this book is about Stella and Hudson, and they both live in New York City. So Stella has a roommate named Evelyn, and one night Evelyn just moves out, gives Stella no warning, doesn't pay rent or anything, and then once she's gone, Stella realizes Evelyn stole some of her shoes. So, obviously Stella is very upset about this. She's also trying to get a business started. She has a wonderful business idea, but is having trouble finding investors and stuff. So this is all just like happening, and it's so stressful. A couple months later, an invitation arrives in the mail, and she opens it. It's an invitation to a fancy schmancy wedding at the New York Public Library. And once she's opened it, she's like, ooh, this is actually for Evelyn. But wait, Evelyn's not here. But wait, maybe I could be Evelyn. So Stella gets her best guy friend and is like, let's go impersonate Evelyn and her boyfriend at this fancy wedding. Let's eat all their food. Let's drink all their drinks. Let's party like it's 1999. And her guy friend's like, yeah. So they get all dolled up. They go to this wedding and they're like, okay, we have our fake names. Make sure no one notices us. Let's party. So having a great time. And then Evelyn runs into Hudson. And Hudson's super nice, super charming. They totally hit it off. And she's like, okay, well, this will be fun. I'll just I'll flirt with this guy at this wedding. I'll never see him again. Everything will be fine. So he's like, oh, what's her name again? And she's like, oh, it's Evelyn. Evelyn, yeah, it's Evelyn. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Nice to meet you. Like, this is great. Dinner is about to start, so I'll see you later. And she's like, okay, cool. So she sits down, they're having dinner, and then the speeches start, and it turns out Hudson is the bride's brother. And he announces to everyone that he has a very special guest. His sister's best friend from childhood is here, and she would like to give a speech. And then he calls Evelyn up. That's actually Stella. And is like, Evelyn, get on up here. Stella realizes she's been found out, but she does not shy away from a challenge. So she goes up on stage and makes up a wedding speech on the spot, and then hands the microphone back to Hudson, is like, goodbye, grabs her guy friend. They grab a bunch of bottles of champagne and run off into the night. Amazing. They got away with it. That's the end. No, it's not. So, turns out Stella left her phone on the table. Cell phones are expensive. So Hudson finds it and is like, well, I should get this back to her. So he's able to get in contact with her and be like, hey, I have your phone. Do you want your phone? You liar. And she's like, yeah, I want my phone. So she has to go to Hudson's work to pick up her phone. And it turns out Hudson works for a company that helps people invest in companies and gets them off the ground. And she's like, I have an amazing business idea. Can we talk about that? And he's like, I'm not sure. You're kind of like a liar. And she's like, but that was just because my roommate left and I just I needed a break. And he's like, meh. So that's kind of how it all gets set up. So now they have to figure out, can they work together? Can they get her business going? Do they even want to work together? What's going on here? What's going to happen? I know, because I read The Invitation. But it's a really fun book. It's also full of a lot of wonderful moments. There's so much growth and heartfelt things that happen. There's also some surprises, which I got to say, there are a couple things I did not see coming. So that always makes for a really fun read when you're going along this is all fun. And then you're like, oh no. And then you're like, I can't stop reading. And then your boyfriend's like, hey, are we going to watch that show? And you're like, no, I'm reading my book. That happens a lot. So anyway, I really enjoyed this book. I hope you will too. I also love Vi Keeland so much. She does such a great job of getting characters together and taking them on journeys and then having a great payoff at the end. And I have now read every single book she's ever written. So I'm a big fan. Big fan. I'm sure she will pop up again. But yeah, I hope you enjoy The Invitation. And if anyone wants to crash a wedding, take me with you, and I will drink all the champagne and then run off into the night. Because that's what a good wedding date does. All right, hope you enjoy. Goodbye.